Hey everyone, welcome to today's video and welcome to my channel. My name is Micah and today I have 3 looks with 1 palette for you. Someone posted a comment a long time on my channel asking if I could use some of my favorite older palettes in tutorials and do looks with them. So I thought that was a great idea. I just hadn't gotten around to doing it yet, and I thought it would be fun to do that right now. So I posted a question on my community tab to ask people what kind of format they would like this to be in. And the most votes right now were for 3 looks with 1 palette. So that's why we're doing that today. The palette that I chose to use is the Naked 2. Please let me know in a comment down below if you have any suggestions for other palettes that you would like to see me use. But the reason why I chose this for now is because in the month of January, I really reach for this quite a bit. And I'm really liking cool tones at the moment. And when it comes to cool tones, I just think that the Naked 2 is an OG. It's also still available, so you can still get your hands on this. And Urban Decay makes one of my favorite eyeshadow formulas. So I thought it would be fun to do 3 looks with this. I also knew it would be quite easy for me to do 3 looks with this because this is a palette I know very well, because this has had a lot of playtime. And I like almost every single shade that's in this palette. The only ones that I'm not really a fan of are these 2 like yellow tone shades. Between the 3 looks that you'll see me do in this video, I've used every single shade in this palette apart from Half Baked. It's also in the Naked one, and it's just not my favorite gold. I'm not a huge fan of gold eyeshadow to begin with, so that's the only one that I didn't use, but everything else that's in here had a bit of a spin in one of these 3 makeup looks. I tried to keep them pretty simple every day, nothing too much, but still trying to use a couple of different techniques. So I'll try to talk you through what kind of brushes I'm using, what kind of technique I'm using, and how I like to do makeup on my eye shape. Since I'm just sitting here rambling on, let's just get to the video. I do have to give a fair bit of warning. I have had a cold, and in some of the clips that you'll be seeing, I was still getting over my cold a little bit, so I sound a bit nasally in some of the clips perhaps, so just a heads up there. But yeah, let's just get to the 3 different looks that I did. So now that you've come a little bit closer, let's just get to this eye look. I'm going to be taking my MAC 217, and I'm going to be taking a little bit of Tease right here, which is a nice matte, which I'm going to use as a transition shade. But before we do that, let's use this little Catrice sponge, which I've been really enjoying actually. So that's that. So a little bit of Tease, and I'm going to apply this to the crease. So Urban Decay Naked 2 is like one of my favorite and possibly my most used eyeshadow palette. The fact that I haven't hit pan on any of these is actually quite surprising to me. And I had a couple of people actually comment on that in my eyeshadow palette declutter. Like, don't you hit pan on things? But A, I have a lot, and 2, I rotate a lot of them around. It's just that I also don't go in very hard-handed with my eyeshadows, you could say. I tend to go in thin layers and build it up. That's just more my style. So I don't really go digging around in eyeshadows or anything like that. For me, I don't hit pan because I tend to be pretty gentle. So now that we have that on the face, let's just get to the real party, you could say. I'm going to be taking this brush. Looks a bit dirty, but again, I'm just going to give it a quick clean. So we are ready to use this. This is a Zoeva 231 Petite Crease, and I'm going to be using Snakebite for that. So what I like about this brush is that as you place it, it's precise enough to sort of get the shape in, but then you can also sort of use it to softly blend everything together, which
I really enjoy about this brush. What I like to do when I work in the crease like this, I tend to start with my eyes closed, but then I like to open my eyes a little bit as well, just to see whether I get the placement where I want it. And now what I'm going to do is take my MAC 217 again with that T shade, so the shade we used before to transition, and I'm going to use that shade to blend out this crease a little bit more. So this way it's a lot softer and I quite enjoy that. Now I'm going to be using a Zoeva, what's this called, 228. And again, I'm going to have to clean it because all of my brushes have been used. And I'm going to use T's again, but since it's a much fluffier brush, I can really sort of get up here and it won't look too intense. And then with my little wispy Zoeva 224 Looks Define Crease, I'm going to go into Booty Call, which is this light cream shade with a bit of shimmer, and I'm going to use that on the brow bone. Alright, so now we've got the shape down, so I'm going to go in with my favorite lid brush. This is the Sigma E55. Now I'm going to go into Suspect, which is like a true taupe, I'd say. So that's pretty much the lid done. I may want to go in with a little bit of a liner to deepen up the lash line a bit in a minute. But I'm first going to work on the lower lash line. And for that, I'm going to be using two brushes. I'm going to use a little bit more dense, like smudger brush. This is by Sephora. And I've got an Essence Smoky Eye brush that I like using for blending things out there. And I'm just going to mimic what I have going on my upper lash line. So upper lid, I'd say. This is Snakebite again. So I'm going to use that with my dense smudger brush. And I'm just going to smudge it along here. And now I'm going to be using my Essence Smoky Eye brush and a little bit of Suspect on the lower lash line too. Now I'm going to go in with my pencil brush and again a little bit of this Booty Call shade, and I'm going to use that around my inner corner. I do want to deepen up the lash line a little bit more, so I'm going to go in with a bit of blackout and a small like angled brush like this, and I'm just going to use that to line my eyes with. I'm just quickly going to apply some mascara and then I'll be right back. So there you have it, the first look with the Urban Decay Naked 2 palette using two of my favorite shades, Snakebite and Suspect. In case you're wondering what's on my lips, that would be Catrice's Legendberry. That's this lipstick. I like wearing very vampy, deep red shades with a palette like this, and I really like wearing these kind of lipstick shades in the winter time, so it really makes sense for me to be pairing these right now because we're still in February and that means it's still the winter time. So this is like my kind of jam in the winter time. So that is the first look. Let's go on to the second one. We're back for look number 2, and today I want to go in with YDK and Chopper for sure. Those are two of my other favorite shades in this palette, so I know I couldn't leave them out. Let's just get started. I'm going to get T's into the crease again because that is just my favorite shade in this palette to do anything in the crease. Again, going in with a MAC 217 and T's. So I'm going straight into YDK today. I'm not going to do anything fancy with like a smoky outer V. So I'm just going to take that shade and apply that all over the lid. If you have a deep crease like me, what I like to do is if I apply a shadow like this with my brush, I like to turn my brush over and sort of blend it, because sometimes like the crease of my eye doesn't really want to have shadow in there, it seems. So I sometimes do this a little bit just to really get the shadow even onto my lid. So now that we have that on, I'm going to take chopper on my finger and I'm going to dab it onto the center of the lid. This is my favorite way to use this shade, by the way. I know that everybody likes it, but I feel it makes YDK look a lot more warm toned. Now that we have that, I like to go back in with tease to make sure everything is nice and blended, and then I'm going to finish off that transition. And now I'm going to be using my Zoeva 228, yes, 228, again with that tea shade. And I'm just going to fluff that all along the edge, just to make sure that it's nice and blended. Right, and now I'm going to do something very unusual. A shade I never really use is Foxy and also Half Baked in this palette. I just feel they don't really go with the rest. But I am going to take a bit of Foxy onto a Sonia Kashuk brush, and I'm going to apply it to my brow bone. Right, so now that we have that done, I'm going to be using, again, YDK on a smudger brush to smoke or to use on the lower lash line. And now I'm going to be using YDK again, but now this time on a fluffy brush, and I'm going to apply that to the lower lash line too. So now that's done. I always think that this look is a little bit flat, so that's why I like to go in with a bit of busted on a small angled brush and really sort of draw in a bit of eyeliner with that. And then as the last finishing step, a little bit of inner corner highlight, Booty Call is my favorite for that in this palette, so I'm going to be using that. So now that the look is pretty much done, I'm very happy with this. I'm going to apply some mascara and I'll be right back. So that is look number 2 for you. If you're wondering what I'm wearing on my lips, I didn't want to overwhelm this eye too much, so I wanted to keep it all quite muted. I went in with a warm tone brown and I'm wearing MAC's Whirl on my lips today. So in case you were wondering what was going on there, then now you know, and let's just move on to look number 3. So right now we're going to be doing a look number 3, and I thought that for this third and final look, we could play with some of the other shadows that we haven't used yet. So I want to go in with the gray and the silver right here at the end. And I'm not sure about you, but I always find that if I try to do something like a halo eye or a cut crease kind of look, with these like older style palettes, I find it's a little bit more difficult to do. For some reason, I like doing that with newer palettes, but I thought that these two shades could work really nicely as some sort of like simple halo eye. So I'm not going to do a very sculpted one. I'm just going to do a very easy one that I actually like doing sometimes before I go to work. So that's what we will be doing first. So I'm just going to clean my brush real quickly. This is a Sonia Kashuk 106, and I really like this kind of brush for packing on shadow when I do a halo eye. So I'm just going to take this like darker gray shade and like really pack it on in my outer corner, my inner corner, and then try to connect. And I always like making sure that I go high enough above my crease. So I start with my eye closed, but then I open it up to see where my fold is. And then I like to draw in the line just like on that edge of where my crease folds inwards. I have a very deep crease, so I need to bring it up pretty high when I have my eyes closed. But I just like using that as like a guideline.
And so this is why I'm calling it a basic halo eye, because I don't have a lot of lid space when I open my eyes. So if I want the effect of some sort of halo, I need to bring up the color quite high. So the only way I can do like a full halo eye, like the one you see on Instagram, is if I were to sort of cut the halo. So if I would have to bring the color all the way up here and then conceal the inner part. But that's just a little too much for every day. I like doing that if I want to play around with makeup or if I just want to try some other colors. But if I'm just doing like a neutral eye like I am doing today, well, this is not super neutral with these grays, but it's always going to look a little bit smoky, I find, if you use a gray shade. But that can still be very wearable for work. So this always starts off looking super crazy, of course. All right, so this looks, of course, a little bit crazy, but I am going to blend this out a little bit. So I first like to set up my halo as much as I can before I start doing the middle part. So I'm now going to be taking, let me see, I'm going to take a Zoeva 228, which again, I'm going to be cleaning. I really like this thing. I haven't reviewed this yet, but I'm using this every single day now that I have it. So that's a good thing. And I'm going to be going into Tease, and I'm just going to sort of use that to buff out the edge of that halo. So this way it's a little bit more blown out, but I feel that I've lost the shape just a little bit. So I'm going to go back in with my brush again and sort of build it up a little bit again. And this is how you can go back and forth until you've got the intensity and blended out look that you like. All right, so now I think what I can do, because these outer edges, they can be a little bit darker. So I think what I'll do is take a little bit of the black. This is something I usually never do, but I'm just going to take that on a very small, shall I use this one? I think I'm just going to use a very small detail brush. This is the Zoeva 238, and that black, and just really only dab it into those corners just for a little bit more definition. Now it's on to the fun part. I'm going to go into the silver, which is Verve, and I'm just going to use my fingers to do this. So the reason why I start this off with my fingers is because I feel that just sort of lays down the base quite nicely. I want to make it a little bit more intense. I'm going to take a small Zoeva 237 detail brush, and again that silver shade, just to make it a little bit more intense. For the lower lash line, you could repeat the halo on the lower lash line, but I usually don't like that for like a daily look. But I do like going in again with the darkest shade that I've used, and this is Pistol, by the way. I don't think I said that before. And then just smudge this along the lower lash line. And now what you can do is you could either go back in again with that silver, but I actually want to go back in with Suspect, which is one of my favorite shades in this palette, which is more of like a taupe, so that will soften the lower lash line just a little bit more. It won't be as stark. And then I'm going to be using a little bit of Foxy on my brow bone. A little bit of Booty Call in my inner corner. We're just going to apply some mascara and then I'll be right back. So that was look number 3, a little bit of like a silver halo kind of eye, but that's still wearable for your everyday life. That's what I was trying to do here. I hope you like watching these 3 makeup looks that I have for you in this video. I thought I would go back to one of my OG favorite palettes, one that I've really enjoyed using this winter, so I thought I could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to. I make 3 videos a week. I post new videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. So please stick around if you'd like to, and I would like to thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!